Deepgram is a speech-to-text and text-to-speech API. Today I'll show you how to turn an audio file into text using NodeJS. Let's check out Deepgram. Here's Deepgram's homepage. As you can see, we can create a free trial. No credit card is required, and you get $200 in credits to try out their API. To get started, you'll head over to Developers and then jump into the documentation. I always like to get started at the Getting Started section, so let's click in there. And as I said, we're going to be doing a speech-to-text API using Node.js. So if I go into the Getting Started for speech-to-text, they've got a pre-recorded audio file for me. And they also have an API playground if I wanted to explore their APIs without having to write code. But I'm a developer, so let's go ahead and follow the tutorial. We've got a curl command, but I rather write things with code, and if an SDK is provided, that's even better. So I can see we've got a Deepgram SDK that we can use. So let's jump over to VS Code and get our project set up. All right, in my directory, I actually have an audio file already that I'm going to use for today. So let's go ahead and make a new project directory. We'll change into that directory. And we need to initialize our new node project. All right, we've just created a package.json file inside of this new folder. I'll do a ls to see that our package.json is there. And now let's go over to Deepgram to see what the tutorial is going to ask us to do. So the first thing is to install the SDK. So I'm going to copy this line here. And I will paste this into our terminal and download this dependency. Now, they've done a nice job. They've told us that we actually have to install a .env dependency. This is how we're going to securely store our API key for our project and access it in our code without any worries of it leaking out when we commit our code to some kind of source control like GitHub. All right, now I've installed my dependencies. Let's take another look at our folder structure. This time I'll expand it here on the left and just see what we've got. All right, so we've got our node modules. So these are dependencies that we've installed, and we've got package.json where we've defined those dependencies. Now, the next step, we're going to see what Deepgram says we need to do. They say we're going to transcribe a remote file. So here we have some JavaScript, which works with Node. And it says that we're going to create a client with the Deepgram SDK. We're going to import the .env and configure that for use in our project. And if we look down here, we are bringing in the Deepgram API key, passing it to our client, and creating a new instance of the Deepgram client object. We come down here, we're calling it, and we are listening to a pre-recorded transcribed URL. So we're going to point to a audio file on the internet. This is not my local file. We'll get to that in a minute. And we have a few configuration options like which model, smart formatting, but there's a whole lot of additional properties that you can get by looking at the API reference for transcribing, and I can show you that in a minute. But first, let's get this code actually running. I'm going to copy this, and I'll come back to VS Code, and I'm going to go into the speech-to-text folder and create a brand new file, and we'll call it index.js. I'll paste my code into this file and save it. All right, so this is all looking good. The one thing you might be wondering is, where is that API key? Well, I have to create one more file, so let's do that now. and it's called .env. So it's a hidden file, but our code is going to be able to see it. And I need to add in one variable, and that variable is called Deepgram API key. So let's go ahead and copy this and put it into our .env file and say equal, save it. And now I'm going to jump back here. I'm in Deepgram. I need to go and get my API key. Well, typically you have to create your account. Well, I've already created my account and they've made it really easy for me. They've added a link up here that says free API key. So I'm going to click that. It takes me into my account and I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new API key. So I'm going to just call it SID demo. And we can say it never expires, or we can give it a duration. We could say 90 days. We're just going to say 3 days. It's a short demo. I'll create the key, and then I can copy my secret. And then if I say got it, it's never going to show me this key again. So make sure I've copied it, successfully. Come back to VS Code, and I'm going to paste my key here and save my .env file. Now this should be everything we need to run our code successfully. So let's go ahead and give it a try. To run it, we'll type in the command node space index.js. All right, so now it's run it. It's actually gone and accessed that file that's on the internet, the spacewalk.wave, and it has gone ahead and transcribed it, and it's broken down every single word for the start time, the end time, and the confidence. And so this is going to be probably helpful if you want to use this for showing captioning on a video. You might want to use this to measure the, to actually analyze each individual word. Let's say you're doing a sales call and you want to measure the confidence. And it can identify the different speakers on a call. There's lots and lots of extra features. And you can also just get the full transcription right here at the top. So lots of information being returned in this file. What if we have a local audio file? Well, Deepgram does a nice job of giving us an example in their Getting Started guide is for how to access a local file. So here's all that code right here, very similar to the code up above, except it's using this file system dependency, and it's using that to read the file that I have locally. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that code, go back to Visual Studio. I'm going to clear my terminal, and I'm going to go into index.js. I'll select all of the code here and replace it with the code that I just copied from Deepgram. It's still referencing the same API key, but instead of spacewalk, I have a file here called welcome.mp3. So I'm going to move that into the same folder, and I'll rename this welcome.mp3 and hit save. So let's go ahead and run this node index.js, and it throws an error. Now, don't worry. It's basically running an error because it can't find my API key. And that's because you may have noticed I didn't bring in that .env required library. So let's go back to the code that we ran just a second ago. And we can see here's the line that we don't have but need. Let's bring that in. And let's go back to our terminal and try running this one more time. All right, boom, 5-second long audio file, 4.58 seconds. And it says, welcome to devtoolkit.ai. Your spot for AI-powered tools and resources. So it got the sentence, the paragraph, and then it breaks down every single word for me. So let's go back to Deepgram. So that's pretty much it. That's how easy it is to transcribe a local file as well as one that's out there on a URL. They even have a non-SDK code examples that you can use. They talk about different limits as far as file size, rate limits, maximum processing time. All of this information is right here in the Getting Started guide. And if you want to know more about all the different properties that are available, then I would say head over to the API reference and click into transcribe and analyze a local file. And you can see it's got all kinds of things around diarization and detecting the languages and detecting topics. So there's lots you can do with these APIs. If you're looking for more AI related APIs, then head over to devtoolkit.ai. I'm creating collections there, I'm reviewing, I'm rating, and I'm trying to build a community there of other developers that are looking for tools like this. So come over and join me, and I look forward to hearing about the tools that you would love to see me test and review in the future.